right, Shalom. First and foremost, want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Chachwadash, and double honors to the elder apostles of Great Millstone, and salutations to the elect. This is the brother Lawyer from Great Millstone, Miami, and I want to do this video based off of a headline I found on Newsbreak, which featured an article from AOL.com. Okay, Yahoo Finance section, UN official. All right, so these are the words from a UN official. Okay. Hey man, when the days of the in the days when the keepers of the house shall tremble, right? All right, it says the powers, which the scriptures also say the powers of heaven shall be shaken, right? All right, it says world food shortage going from bad to worse. All right, and this was published August 23rd, 2022. All right, which that was yesterday. All right, it says rising global food prices brought on by Russia's invasion of Ukraine and commodity shortages triggered by climate emergencies are threatening to destabilize economies around the world, the United Nations UN official warned. The number of people acutely hungry have dramatically accelerated since the beginning of the C-19 pandemic, while 135 million people faced acute food insecurity before the pandemic. That number has more than doubled to 276 million over the last 2 years. It's the story that keeps getting worse. Keeps getting from bad to worse. UN World Food Program (WFP) chief economist Arif Hussein told Yahoo Finance live. So he said this live. All right. He says when the World Food Program is setting records, that's not a good thing for the world. And we have been doing that since at least 2021. According to the WFP, 50 million people across 45 countries are already on the verge of famine. Which food? First of all, let me do something real quick, man. Okay, I want to get the word famine real quick, man, because all right, let me see if I can get the define the word famine. All right, now the word famine, first of all, already means extreme scarcity of food, deprivation, want. Okay, but it's also synonymous with the word shortage. Okay, scarcity, lack. Okay, dearth, hunger. All right, so if they're talking about food scarcity on a global scale, okay, all right, food shortages, that's the beginning of a famine, like it tells you in Second Ezra 16th chapter. All right, the thing is, Esau likes to play with his words, okay, all right, to try to make people think that things are all good and gravy and peace and safety, man. But the scriptures tell you, all right, I believe that's Second Thessalonians, okay. I believe that's Second Thessalonians 5. I'm sorry, Second Thessalonians. No, I gotta be First Thessalonians 5. All right, First Thessalonians 5. It says, "But of the times and seasons, brethren, ye have no need that I write unto you. For yourselves know perfectly that the day of the Lord so cometh as a thief in the night. For when they shall say peace and safety, then sudden destruction shall cometh upon them, as travail upon a woman with child, and they shall not escape." Man, so as soon as they start talking about, things are looking good, okay, well, that's when worse comes, man. Okay, all right, trying to make people feel like it's all safe and it's really not that bad yet, man. Well, guess what, man? That's when the real hell starts coming, man. And that's why the scriptures tell you in Second Ezra the 16th chapter. Okay, it tells you what the plagues draw nigh and are not slack, man. All right, this is Second Ezra 16 and 37. It says, "Behold, the plagues draw nigh and are not slack, as when a woman with child in the ninth month bringeth forth her son within 2 or 3 hours of her birth, great pains compass her womb, which pains when the child cometh forth they slack not a moment. Even so shall not the plagues be slack to come upon the earth, and the world shall mourn, and sorrow shall sorrow shall come upon it on every side," man. Okay, so hey, these plagues, which famine is a plague, Okay, starvation, world level, on a global scale, that's a plague. Okay, all right, and hey, as the scriptures say, man, these plagues are likened unto a woman that is having birth pains, man. Okay, nearing the hours of her delivery, man, and the birth pains get worse and worse and worse and worse and worse, man. They don't slack not a moment, and they only get worse and worse and worse as the time of the childbirth comes. All right, once the child comes out, that's it. But as it gets to that point, it gets worse, man. Okay, so that goes to show you again this prophecy in Second Ezra is being fulfilled, especially with a headline like this, man. Okay, world food shortage going from bad to worse. Okay, all right. Now it says, going back to the article, it says according to the WFP, 50 million people across 45 countries are already on the verge of famine. Another 345 million people are approaching starvation across more than 80 countries, Hussein said, at a 25% increase from the start of the year. Damn. So already, man. Okay. All right. A 25 increase from the start of the year? Wow. Okay. And hey, they talked about nations and economies being destabilized, man. That, hey, you already know, man. Second Ezra is the ninth chapter that's going to lead to uproars of the people, man. Second Ezra 15, man, is going to lead to different types of riots and sedition, man. There shall be sedition amongst men and invading one another, man. Okay. All right. It says, which I might not read this whole article, but it says here, it says the ongoing Russia-Ukraine war is exacerbating the food crisis. Ukraine and Russia collectively account for 30% of global traded wheat, 20% of maize, and 70% of sunflower supplies, according to WFP. So there goes your breads, your pastas, corns, grains, okay, even oils in certain cases. All right, a shortage of supply has pushed prices higher, even as global energy prices have added to the cost pressures, with sanctions limiting Russian oil exports, a key global supplier. A shortage of fertilizer coming from Russia, one of the most important suppliers, has only added to the problem, with higher costs, driving import-dependent countries with higher costs and less food to eat. You can easily put about 50 million people to the consequences of war in Ukraine, Hussein said. All right. Now, hey, man, I'm just going to hop right into the scriptures, man, because, hey, we already know, all right, what the Bible says about these things happening in the earth, man. Okay. Scriptures talk about famines, earthquakes in diverse places. All right. This is Matthew chapter 24, verse 7. All right. It says, for nation shall rise against nation and kingdom against kingdom. And there shall be famines and pestilences and earthquakes in diverse places, man. And clearly, man, look at that map, man. Okay. All right. Look at the map. All right. It says a look at how global food prices has impacted food security across the world, man. All right. You see? Look at that map, man. Clearly, this is a sign of famines, okay? Global food prices skyrocketing, okay? There's less available, all right, less food available to go around. All right, this is clearly a global problem, man. That's why it says famines in diverse places, man. All right, it says all these are the beginning of sorrows, okay? All right, hey, let's go to Second Ezra chapter 15, okay? Try to do this real quick, man. Second Ezra chapter 15, verse 5, it says, behold, saith the Lord, I will bring plagues upon the world, the sword, famine, death, and destruction. Okay, for wickedness hath exceedingly polluted the whole earth, and their hurtful works are fulfilled. Okay, so hey, of course, there are things that take place in the world that lead up to famines and war. Okay, but at the root of the problem is the wickedness of the people on the earth. That is why the Lord is bringing these types of plagues upon the world, man. Okay, all right. That's why you have war increasing in the earth. That's why you have famine, death, and destruction plaguing the planet Earth right now. And again, it's only gonna get worse, man. All right, as the headline said, man. Okay, all right. Let's go down. All right, it says in verse 14, it says, "Woe to the world and them that dwell therein, for the sword and their destruction draweth nigh, and one people shall stand up to fight against another, and swords in their hands. For there shall be sedition among the men, and invading one another, they shall not regard their kings nor princes, and the course of their actions shall stand in their power. A man shall desire to go into a city and shall not be able, for because of their pride the city shall be troubled, the houses shall be destroyed, and men shall be afraid. A man shall have no pity upon his neighbor, but shall destroy their houses with the sword and spoil their goods because of the lack of bread and for great tribulation." So, again, civil unrest, civil war, okay, destabilization of economies and countries, man, rising up against the government, people breaking into each other's houses for what? For the lack of bread and for great tribulation, man. That's why headlines like this keep coming out, man. Okay? All right, this is not a game. This is not a joke, man. Okay? Wow. I'm gonna read some more of this, man. It says, going back to the article, it says the stronger dollar stemming from higher interest rates has only exasperated the situation. He added, creating a trigger factor for dozens of countries that have lost more than 25% of their currency value in less than a year. In 2020, we assisted about 116 million people, Hussein said. That was a record in our 60-year history. In 2021, we assisted 128 million people. Again, that was a record. This year, we are planning to assist upward to 140 million people. All right, because they need money to buy these resources, to buy food, because their currencies are collapsing, man. Okay, huh. Which will again be a record, man. Those records are exasperated by the ongoing impacts from climate change. Historic heat waves in Europe and India have already depleted crop production. Now, again, these heat waves, man, which they, hey, man, this is becoming one of my favorite precepts to bring out, man. Okay, Revelation the 16th chapter, man. All right, Revelation 16 and verse 8, it says, "And the fourth angel poured out his vial upon the sun, and power was given unto him to scorch men with fire. And men were scorched with great heat and blasphemed the name of God, which hath power over these plagues, and they repented not to give him glory," man. So the Lord, all right, is increasing the solar activity using the angelic forces, man. Okay, all right, to plague the earth with these heat waves, man, with wildfires. Okay, all right, so that's exasperating the famines as well as the floods, the record-breaking thunderstorms and rain out of season. Okay, hurricanes and all different types of stuff, droughts, man. Okay, all right. It says in 2022 alone, these crises are expected to result in a deficit of roughly 15 to 20 million metric tons of wheat and corn from the global supply, according to research by McKinsey. That number is expected to nearly double by 2023. Okay. All right. It says, meanwhile, unusually high weather in India prompted the country to ban wheat exports a few months ago. So they just had to stop exporting wheat because they couldn't keep up with the demand. All right. Because they're already losing. Okay. They're already losing their crops to the heat waves, man. All right. Though the country remains a small part of the global wet trade, over in the Middle East, the UN has warned hotter and drier conditions are likely to drop crop production by 30% 2025. Hussein said more people are increasingly being displaced by climate shocks than conflict year on year. We see it on the ground that seasons are shifting. He said they are shrinking and essentially, which essentially means for smallholder farmers, they sometimes have to plant multiple times. Out of frustration, out of seeing these shortages on the agricultural side, they start to move. Where do they go? They go to the slums and urban areas. That's where the conflict starts. It is, I'm sorry, so it's a vicious cycle of hunger, poverty, destabilization, and then migration out of destitution. All right, so eventually, what happens is that these famines begin to increase. Okay, all right, people don't have food. All right, farmers just give up, and they just like, hey, throw in the towel. All right, and then people end up moving from where they're native to different areas. Okay, and that only exacerbates the problem because that when more people move from outside areas to an area that's already populated, that means that there's less resources to go around. Okay, all right. So, hey, yes, hey, hey, as the scriptures prophesied, man. Okay, there shall be confusion also in many places, man. All right. Hey, this is Second Ezra chapter 6, verse 22. It says, "And suddenly shall the sown places appear unsown; the full storehouses shall be found suddenly empty." Okay. All right. So again, sown places appearing unsown, man. These farms worldwide being abandoned by the farmers because they're getting tired of, of the hell that they're catching, man. All right, if it's not that they can't find fertilizer, it's the heat waves. All right, it's the price to actually go out there and actually plant the crops. They don't have the gas to do it. It's always something. So they just giving up and just leaving their farms abandoned. Okay, which that depletes the food supplies for the people who need it. Okay, which the scriptures talk about what cut off the sower from Babylon and him that handleth the sickle in the time of harvest. Okay, all right, they shall flee everyone to his own people. All right, and to their own lands. I believe that's in Jeremiah 50. Cut off the sower. All right, Jeremiah 50 and 16. It says, "Cut off the sower from Babylon and him that handleth the sickle in the time of harvest. For the fear of the oppressing sword, they shall turn everyone to his own people and flee everyone to his own land." Okay. All right, so people gonna be moving around, moving from different place to place, man, because of the lack of food. All right. Now, I want to go to Second Ezra chapter 16 again. All right, this is Second Ezra 16 and 17. All right, it says, woe is me, who will deliver me in those days, the beginning of sorrows and great mournings, the beginning of famine and great death, the beginning of wars, and the power shall stand in fear, the beginning of evils, and what shall I do when these evils shall come?" All right, so the beginning of famine, so which means it's only going to get worse. Okay, behold, famine and plague, tribulation and anguish are sent as scourges for amendment, but for all these things they shall not turn from their wickedness, nor be always mindful of the scourges. Behold, victual shall be so good cheap upon the earth that they shall think themselves to be in good case, and even then shall evils grow upon the earth, sword, famine, and great confusion. So these famines are going to get worse, man. Okay, for many of them that dwell upon the earth shall perish of famine, and the other that escape the hunger shall the sword destroy, and the dead shall be cast out as dung. So it's going to get so bad that there's going to be bodies, okay, laid out, all right, all over the earth, man. Why? Because of the lack of food, they perished. Okay, it says, "Many of them that dwell upon the earth shall perish of famine, and other that escape the hunger shall the sword destroy, and the dead shall be cast out as dung. And there shall be no man to comfort them, for the earth shall be wasted, and the city shall be cast down." All right, this is 2 Timothy chapter 3, verse 1. I'll close out with this. It says, "This know also that in the last days perilous times shall come." You go to the word perilous, all right? It's in the Greek.
Strong's G 5467. Chalipas.
Chalepas says hard to do, to take, to approach, hard to bear, troublesome, dangerous, harsh, fierce, and savage. Okay, difficult. All right. So times are gonna get more and more difficult, man. All right, UN official world food shortages going from bad to worse, man. All right, that's not this scripture being fulfilled in Second Timothy chapter 3, verse 1. Yeah, I don't know what is, man. Hey, but with that, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh Bashim Yahushai, Bahashim Rachwadash. Double honors to the elder apostles of Great Millstone and salutations to the elect. Kwame Yasharal and the Ball. Shalom.